So I guess these, you have to think of these as mandalas. The horoscope is a mandala. These are mandalas that develop and have different levels of consciousness and different levels of teaching within it. So I'm just going into the mandala and explaining different factors in there. We're doing this with lines and words. It can be done with colors, with shapes. It can be done with planets and aspects. It can be done so many different ways. But there's one group of a lot of astrology based on the position in the houses. But even in the houses, the people have memorized the 12 houses and relate them, but they don't always think of the phases that are making those houses have meaning, the rising, the setting, the above, and the below. These are primary insights to understanding the nature of the houses. If you don't have these primary insights, you're just making word associations and making sentences based on words and what you think the words mean. It's hardly coming to integral astrology. So in this, we're rising, we come out of our personal depth, and we wake up, and we have to get ourselves together and put things together to go out into the world to project out to the minute. But then we get to a point where we come out of our personal world, we start affecting, we go out in the world to career, see what we can get done. We're above the horizon, goes from below to above. We go out the door, and then we get out, then we come back, we get back to the door, hi, I'm home, and then we get back into our personal world, come back to our feelings of how good the day went, how bad the day went, and try and resolve it. And it resolves in our sleep and our dreams. It's not something we do, it's something that happens to us. If it doesn't resolve, the complexes stay there. And sometimes they can rigidly go in and we get stuck in certain modes of behavior, certain judgments for years. And some people get unstuck and they have no stability. It's many different ways this can happen. But this process is the divine insight into how the houses work and have their meaning. So in this process, you have the line of consciousness, conscious of my identity, conscious of who I'm related. I'm here. Are you there for me? Are they there? I'm responding to you. Here's my partner. How much can I do and how much is my partner putting up with? How much am I supporting my partner? How much is my partner supporting me? Do we each have, are we each doing the same thing? Is it equal? Who's instigating? Who's reactive? Do we share times? Do we put it together or not put it together? Like the whole nature of interrelationships is the ascendant, descendant. The substance of it is the above and below. How much is who's fun? If one person's out there making money and paying the rent, the other person can stay home. But if both people are working, both people need some time to live for themselves, even home. So we get cut all kinds of roles between what's status and what's authority and who's saying how things should be, how things should function, and what one can live with. So the line of consciousness there and the line of power. I think I have the line of power explained a little bit more in another slide. No, okay. So the line of power is power of personal motivation. They're taking everything in, taking in, taking in. It was a good day, it was a bad day, I feel good, I feel bad, I hug the kids, I'm feeling okay, I'm responding to what's happening around me and it's personal meaning to me, and I go to sleep. Then I let go of conscious, I dream, I whatever, and out of that unconscious state, it kind of resolves the dreams, the feelings, the other things. And there's something in me that gets up, has to get up, to wake up and start going out in the next day to either repeat this or not repeat this. So if it was bad, we get blocks about wanting to project, wanting to go out. But we can have personal blocks, or we can be really together, and there can be really social blocks. You're poor, you're black, you don't fit in somewhere. You know, like you're the odd one out. I only said black because it's such a contemporary thing today, but it could be we all come out of our mothers. We all come out of our backyards. We all run into the world, and it's usually not exactly what we expected. It's different than where we came from, where we're secure. It's the nature of the beast. And then while there's personal different degrees of depth and sensitivity, there's totally different outer realities of what's truth, what's respectable, what's responsible, what's not, what's justified, what's not justified. Many battles. You can see that in each person, we build up our own matrix, our own maze or matrix that we live in. But it pulses between the inside, the both subject of being and the object of being. It pulses between being instigative and reactive. And usually we prioritize by our chart where the sun is, it prioritizes one area is more important than the other. So when we did our sun interpretations, is if the sun's rising, Instigate is more important. If it's setting, reacting is more important. If it's above, functioning is more important. As opposed to subjective being more important when it's below. Slowing it down and thinking about it. That's what we did with the workshops. It makes astrology yours. It makes it very real and deep. It's not like you know it. There's an understanding that you can work with it. It's not a fixed commodity that you just memorize the words and it's this. It's expansive. It's alive. And it's full of consciousness and power. So when you lose your consciousness or you feel lost in consciousness, there's a certain way to work with it. It's usually you lost a relationship or did something that somebody left or something like this. If you're leaving power, that's a whole other thing between outer being and inner feelings, between how much your inner being belongs in that outer world. What's a person like you doing in a place like this? What's a person like me being stuck out here? Okay, so this is another way of drawing the same thing. So these build up to four. This builds up to the 4 quadrants from the ICT ascendant, rising and below the horizon, subjective, and rising and above the horizon. The rising half divides in half by the ascendant. The half that's coming from your inner depths to come up to your personality, to your image, and the half that goes out into the world, what you put out in the world. So if you're insecure in your personal world, it's going to be hardly smiling or being happy when you put your face out into the world that affects other people. If you're putting out doubt, who are you going to attract? If you put out positivity or hope or positiveness, wow, that's going to have a totally different effect outwardly. This is the nature of the 12th house. What do you put out? Was it good or bad? Then it builds up to the midheaven to see how much you accomplish or don't accomplish. And based on how much we accomplish or don't accomplish, we start reacting to people. We have friends, we have enemies, we have associates where we don't have, and we come back to taking it personally and inside. And suddenly we're going into our personal, we're down into our inner depth, and the world sucks out there. It never fit in there. It doesn't fit in. Nothing's good. And we can justify it's all bad. That's why it doesn't work for me, but I'm still me. Like the struggles that come in around these points. They affect our consciousness. They affect our power. Not just a theory. This is an intimate walking into someone, walking into each person, an intimate understanding of life. So where are you on the wheel? Where's your sun? What place are you? How's it going? This is where this goes to. And where do you start and where are you going to? Oh, where have you been? Where are you going to? The transits move and follow these cycles, so do especially the progressions move this way. Okay, so this divides these 4 quadrants. Okay, we'll just go down. Let's see what I got. Yeah, okay. So the 4 quadrants of intuition, thinking, sensation, and feeling. Carl Jung used these terms and he related to the 4 elements, which was kind of an intuitive way of grouping them. But I found that they work exactly to these rising and setting objective and subjective realities. So each half divides. We have the 2 halves on the inside wheel. This is all marked by the I Ching. So you have on the inner wheel, you have the solid line and the solid line in each quadrant. And the setting side, we have the broken line and the broken line. So we have the rising and the setting is the first wheel, the first set of symbols. The second outside of that, you have broken lines below in the 2 quadrants and solid lines above. So solid lines, one represent on the inner circle, it represents rising. On the outer circle, it represents above the horizon. Okay, whereas the broken lines represent the reacting, the setting, and the subjective below the horizon. So if you're looking at your subjective half of the chart, below the horizon, there's 2 halves of it. Half of your subjective habit is coming into you, half of it is being projected out. Same way with your outer functional world. Half of you is projecting, making your outer world, and half of you is reacting to it. So sometimes the system's like, I could never make it out there. It's all worked against me, it's against it. That's your thinking, and it's affecting your reaction. But those are attitudes to going. So each half, the rising and the setting, has a subjective and objective half. And each half above or below has a rising and a setting half. So this builds up our 4 quadrants, which is like the 4 seasons, only in the houses, it's coming out of the greatest depth, the greatest darkness, coming out of your home, from your IC, from your inner motivation. We project, we wake up, we get up, the rising, we instigate. But it's below the horizon, we're subjectively instigating. We have a certain attitude when we wake up. We've resolved things, or we haven't things, we had a bad dream, good dream, we had things that are sitting on us, and they begin to affect how we look around, how we wake up, and then we look at the things around us, what we have around us, and we get our stuff together, we grab our clothes or whatever, we put our image together to go meet the world. Oh yeah, we gotta look in the mirror and fix things up before we go out to meet the world. So this is the personal, subjective, projective half, which is the intuitive half. We intuitively projected it. It's not compared to anyone else. It's just coming from myself. I got to do this. I'm doing this. I got this. I got to use this. I'm going to put this together as best I can. And you're intuitive putting yourself together. It can be totally in place. You can say, well, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to wear jeans today or whatever. I'm going to go out. Who cares? And you go, and all of a sudden you get caught up in a function. You're in a place where there's functions that you're going out for dinner with a group of people, and everybody's got a tie and jacket, and you can't get in because you don't have a tie. Whoa, causes some thought about how come, who's wearing what. Functional thought. But the intuitive side is just subjectively how we get ourselves together from our inside to our face, to our image. It's not the image we have. It's not the image I see in the mirror. It's the me that's going to look to the image. It's the me, everything up to the edge of the skin. And if you're not happy inwardly, it shows on your face. If you're angry, it shows on your face. You can't hide it. Even if you're faking a smile, which is better than just being angry, it still shows as not real to others. Whoa, this is the identity crisis. This is the point of identity. Conscious of self. How conscious of who I am, where I'm coming from, and whether I'm fitting in or not, or what if I'm doing wrong? What is it to start thinking about your effects on others? Negatively, you're worrying and thinking, well, I can't do this. Should I do this? What affects on this one? Positively, you think, I'm just doing this. Look how they're going to have to deal with this. I'm going to press them this way. I'm going to go in. I'm going to talk to everybody. I'm going to be good. I'm going to go right to the boss and get things accomplished. So you're thinking about what you can do and what you're going to do with the rest of your day. So we're starting from waking up, getting out of the house, going up to the world. This is just one scheme to work through this matrix. But everyone has their matrix, and it includes this level of processing. It's part of the reason why I say astrology is the matrix of life, the DNA of life. It's in there, and it's connected to how we're born, the time we're born, when there's light out, dark out, snowing, freezing, lightning storm, all these things that are relevant to who you are. Because you're born at the moment in time and space that you're born, you are the answer to the universe, to the needs of the universe, that moment in time and space. Boom, you're it. Now, that's a tall order to have to live up to, especially if we don't realize that we're it. On one level we do, on other levels we don't. Okay, so once we project out, we get past this intuitive stage. Projecting into is a subjective function, right? It's not outwardly, maybe it's my intuitive take on what's going on outwardly. It's not everyone else's intuitive take, it's my intuitive sense. And we're guided by it. Wait, that shows on our face too. So depending how deep we are, how secure we are, how clear we are within, it's going to affect the quality of our intuition. And it's going to show on our face. Then we put our face out in the world.